Justin Hart is an architect by trade, but has many other interests. He is the founder of Justin Hart Novels and has authored 4 novels so far. He is an inspirational speaker to youth and a writing coach in Atlanta, Georgia. His book, Liquid Sunshine, was the #1 inspirational book on Amazon in 2009. Congratulations for that. And also congratulations for your article titled 5 Effective Strategies for Mental Well-Being that was recently published in Authority magazine. You said you were born into a military family. How did that impact your childhood?
Oh wow, Nancy, that's a great way to begin. I tell you what, uh, growing up as a military kid, some people refer to that as being military brats.
Uh-huh.
Um, but I never used that term for myself. I'm not a military brat. I'm just a military kid.
Okay.
It was fun. I was born in Wiesbaden, Germany, and maybe around my toddler age, my dad was in the Air Force, by the way. So he's the one who kind of got us way out there in Germany. And my brother, who's an older brother, he was also born in Germany, maybe like a year and a half before. And yeah, so right around the age 3, we ended up moving back to the States to Arkansas. And there's not much going on in Arkansas, let me tell you what. But the Razorbacks and I think Bill Clinton might be the biggest names out in Arkansas. But Arkansas was a great place for my childhood you
Okay.
know, a very wonderful place for my childhood. And then from maybe fifth grade, fourth grade, fifth grade, we ended up finding ourselves in the Hampton Roads area of Virginia. And that's where I spent the rest of my young adult years. And I would say I also enjoyed growing up in the Hampton Roads area of Virginia as well. So being a military kid was eventful. The moving is something that I think we're all familiar with if you talk to enough military
Yeah.
kids and families. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. What were you passionate about as a kid?
What wasn't I passionate about as a kid? I loved my childhood. And I think because I really enjoyed my childhood and I had a great childhood. I really did. I'm grateful for my mom and dad for seeing 40, I think 9+ years of marriage. And I'm grateful for that because it really put an impact on me. But no, I loved to write as a kid. I would find myself in my room just recreationally creating stories. I have an artistic gift, so I would be right there illustrating the pages of whatever I was writing. I loved music, so I'd probably have some kind of music going on in the background while I'm just a kid. I love playing sports, which comes out now whenever I'm able to be my kids' coaches on any recreational level, which is very fulfilling, by the way.
Okay.
And then I used to talk a lot. I used to talk a lot back in grade school,
Uh-huh.
which, which I used to get in trouble for. But I would have never imagined that being a talkative kid would have propelled me to being a inspirational speaker as well.
So words have always been important to you, whether you were speaking or writing. You were really into words, stories.
Oh, 100%, yeah. And even today, it still hasn't left me as an adult. So I share with yourself and with others that the gifts that we find ourselves having as a child,
Hmm.
it typically stays with us for a lifetime. It really does. Just those talents, those abilities, those giftings, it really doesn't go too far unless it gets killed early on, and then we have to find ourselves kind of digging it back up later on in life. But for me, it was never killed. It was flourished, it was watered, and it was able to blossom. And here I am, 4 books in, and I have many more to write. I think I have maybe 15 more books currently that I would like to write.
It seems such a odd combination to be an architect, which is very precise and design oriented,
Right.
And then on the other side, to have all this artistic interest and in creative writing. How do those two mesh in you?
I would say gracefully. I would say gracefully. I think God has given me just the arts within. Although I can't necessarily sing and I don't play any instruments,
Uh,
because all that's still tied to the arts. Um, and the same thing goes with drama and other aspects of the arts. But no, the drawing ability as a kid, it comes out in architecture,
oh,
which
wow.
which is very fulfilling. Yeah. So architecturally being so structured, I do find myself enjoying that 8 to 5 career because yeah, I'm very fulfilled with what I do on a day-to-day, month by month, year by year aspect there. But then there's the aspiration side. Like I don't talk much at my main job, but
Uh-huh.
yeah, I'm an inspirational speaker. So it's like I would explode if I was just in the architecture field.
Yeah.
Same thing goes with the writing. Same thing goes with the music side. Like being multifaceted, like we all get 24 hours every day. So it's like, what are we doing with our time? It's
Mhm.
one of the questions I usually ask my clients whenever they say, "Oh, I don't have enough time to do this, this, and this." And I'm like, well, what are we doing with our time? Because we all get the same number of minutes and hours every day.
Yes. Well, it sounds like you have several different aspects that you nourish in different ways, either through architecture or drawing or writing or speaking or coaching.
Hmm.
Okay, you mentioned having five different jobs. That must be somewhat, what I just mentioned. In addition to being a husband and father to three children, how do you balance being a husband and a father with having that many other interests and jobs?
Yes, I get asked that quite often from my friends. They're like, Justin, how do you do it? How do you do it? So Nancy, I'm grateful to answer your question on this platform because I think a lot of parents, dads especially, wonder, how can I still be a good dad and still be committed to my, whether it's an 8 to 5, 9 to 5, whether it's your career. Every person is different, every household is different, every personality is different. So I want to just encourage those that are in my same shoes. One of the ways that I do it is on purpose. That's the best answer I can give. I do it on purpose. I purposefully know what my distractions are, which are typically television. It might be, different time thieves, like, watching movies or television shows that have episode after episode after episode, and you just find yourself binge watching. There's a lot of other things that can get our time, and I just have to ask myself every day, like, how am I spending my time? So whenever I'm with my kids, I'm usually 100% with my kids. I want to be there. I'm the main one that puts them to sleep every night. I'm the main one that wakes them up in the morning. I read to them. I say prayers with them. I engage with them in sports. I usually am their coach.
Mhm.
Whenever we're outside of practice, I usually am taking them somewhere to a park, giving them high fives, running with them, racing with them. So it's that memory that is being created, and I'm just grateful that I had that in my youth. That my mom was there, my dad was there. So it's like I'm able to transfer it naturally. It's not something that I have to do with a struggle or with a grudging attitude. It's really me willingly and happily, purposefully giving my all every day.
So you had good mentors with your mom and dad as far as modeling healthy parenting. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, yes, I'm grateful for them. Hmm.
And is the same true with your marriage? Are you able to give your wife your full attention when that's needed as well?
I would hope so. I would hope so. We,
Maybe we should ask her, huh?
yeah, yeah. Yeah, let's see if we can three-way her in right now, and ask her. But
Okay,
yeah, typically the kids, and this is crazy to say, but a lot of parents would agree, kids are the number one distraction for the husband and wife. It
that's true.
just is. It
That
just is. So as respectful as I want to be with them by giving them their time, I have to make a note of it that I'm not interrupting me and my wife's time by giving them their time. So it's a balance, it's a juggle, but as mentioned, yeah, it definitely happens on purpose because the kids are gonna be the main ones tugging and pulling and wanting and needing and asking and yeah, the list goes on.
it's very important for children to see mom and dad prioritizing their marriage, sometimes even ahead of what the children are demanding. Are these responsibilities the source of anxiety today?
Are they the source of anxiety? At times, as mentioned in the article, my overall anxiety levels are pretty low. They're pretty even, maybe on a 2 or 3 level scale.
Okay.
And I think that has a lot to do with me having an office job and me being able to process thoughts. Um, somewhat easily just because of how men's brains are wired. And having an office setting, allows for a different kind of quiet time, quiet space, and you can really think about the things you got to do tomorrow, next week, the things that are due today, phone calls. Yeah, so it's a low scale whenever it comes to just my day to day.
How do you start your day?
Ooh, typically, typically I start my day um, waking up at an average time and getting the kids ready while I'm getting ready. And because I go to work and I work a career, I'm usually the first one out the door as I'm giving everyone their goodbyes. And my wife is the one who stays at home with the kids, and she is able to work her part-time counseling career as well as getting them on their buses and on the way to school. But yeah, typically sometimes on the way to work, it's maybe like a 15-minute commute. 2 to 3 days out the week, I have what you call accountability calls. So
Okay.
on those certain days, I would either call them or they would call me, usually at a certain time. So it's scheduled. And
Mhm.
then those accountability calls are kind of just like catch ups. We kind of just share how our days, our weeks have gone, days before, how that's gone. If anything has been shared from the couple days or weeks before, we usually ask, "Hey, how was that trip over the weekend? Hey, how did your speech go the other day? How was your event the other day? How's everything at home going?" So it's a lot of accountability questions from my end to their end and from their end to my end. And we usually close in that window with prayer. We usually close with prayer and we kind of just seal it and we just say, we give gratitude. We say, Lord, thank you for giving us a spouse, for giving us kids, for allowing us to be the head of the home, for our provision. And usually we pray just for protection for each other's family. And we pray grace and mercy. Oh my goodness, that we can continue to be um, life changers in our kids' lives and we can be influencers in the circle around us and continue to do what we're doing right now, even content wise,
Mhm.
because the people that are going to see this are a lot more than those that are just in my circle or in
Right.
your circle. We might have somebody from overseas watch the same video and hopefully they're inspired.
Yes. What was the period of time in your life where you experienced a high level of anxiety that kind of motivated you to learn how to manage anxiety better?
Yes, thank you for asking. I would say, and this is an interesting question to ask because I don't get asked this that often because a lot of people don't know that I have experienced a very high peak of anxiety because of how cool and calm I am with juggling as many jobs. as I
Yeah.
have for so long. I mean, I've been an author since 2009, and I've been an author coach since 2010. So that's 15 years worth of the speaking engagements and just juggling jobs and careers and aspirations. So I've done an overall good job. But I would say, to answer the question, I'm 42 now, and it was at the age of 40 that I experienced my first round of trauma. My
Okay.
first round of trauma. So just imagine going your first decade of life, second decade of life, third decade of life, trauma free.
Yeah, that's hard
And
to imagine.
oh, it is. A lot of people experience it somewhere in the earlier years. And it really just is a trickle down domino effect all throughout the rest of your life because now you're trying to recover and get your thoughts and your understanding about how life should function.
Yeah.
But in my case, I had a very good foundation. So when trauma hit, I was able to mentally have a full brain function of wow. Let me process this accordingly because I am fully mature, I'm fully grown, and I lack nothing because I've been able to prepare myself through being a coach and hearing so many other stories that I was able to help them on a level that they were on. But now that I've experienced my own trauma, my
Mhm.
own setbacks, my own things to get up from after being knocked down, and in juggling the what's the best way to say it? Juggling the definition of anxiety, a term that I would hear often from other people's experiences.
Mhm.
But when you have to embrace that word all for yourself, it's a journey. It's a
Yeah.
journey. I'm not sure if you've seen the movie Inside Out 2. It's a Disney film. Oh, let me tell you, there's a scene in that movie where the main character, she gets new characters added to her brain, and it's recommended to see the first one before you see the second one. But in the second one, there is a new character called Anxiety. Okay.
Oh, okay.
So anxiety, and the character is maybe like a teenager now. So she is learning what anxiety feels like as a teenager, like in middle school, and she's going through puberty and different changes of acceptance and all that and identity. And but there's a scene in the film where anxiety is taking control of her.
Yes.
And I said, while I was watching the movie in the theater, I said, wow, this is a very real scene because for anybody that has actually felt the grip of the character of anxiety
Yeah.
take over to a point where you're shaking and your mind is in a frenzy and you really don't know what is happening to you as a person, but the character of anxiety is now having a grip on you.
Right.
What's interesting about that scene is that there's a whirlwind that's happening around the main character, and then the character of anxiety, and that whirlwind is like a spinning cycle
Mhm.
of really just being out of control.
Yes.
Then there was another character whose name is Joy, and Joy comes in and she literally says to anxiety, "Anxiety, let me go."
Ooh, I love it.
And 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 sometimes I think about it, how often do we literally have to say, "Anxiety, let me go," in
Yes.
order for us to find a peaceful state, in order for our hands to not shake, in order for our mind to not be in a frenzy? Sometimes we literally have to personify
Mhm.
the character of anxiety and
Mhm.
tell it, "Let me go," in
Take
order
back
to get back.
control. To take
Take
back
back
control
control.
away from
Oh
anxiety.
man. It is a scene that I will always remember. And I always encourage people to watch the full movie and really appreciate that one scene, because I have felt that, and I've had to tell anxiety, and this I had to tell anxiety before I even saw the movie,
Yes.
let me go, because I felt its grip. And I'm like, wow, imagine the number of men and women that go through this time and time again, day after day, year after year, from their childhood maybe, and now they're adults, and they say, I don't know why I have to take medicine just to regulate myself. And a lot of times it's because anxiety has a grip
Yes.
on their soul. Yeah, yeah.
So during that time when the drama of anxiety hit you, or whatever drama was going on, created excessive anxiety for the first time in your life, how did you take control back?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh boy, that was several things. Several things. I mentioned accountability. Okay.
Yes.
So accountability in my life had been taking place for the last 8 to 10 years before drama even hit. So, I'm a very, very structured individual. I enjoy regulating my soul to the point of being able to have conversations like this where I'm in a very good state of mind and well-being. So yeah, whenever all that happened, I had already had accountability in place, which
Okay.
was a very good thing. And I encourage anybody to establish accountability. Accountability is literally somebody or several people in your life that are it doesn't have to be family members. It can be a close friend, it can be a friend from back in your college days that you grew close with. It could be a sibling,
Mhm.
it could be a church friend, it could be a coworker. Choose someone that you honor and respect enough to be able to be authentic enough with them so that they are able to have you as their accountability also. It's a two-way street. Whenever you get an accountability partner, it's an agreement saying,
Yeah.
hey, we're going to be steady with this. We're going to call each other often, and we're going to talk about the deep things in life. So I had that set up before the trauma slash drama in my life occurred. Another way would have been through my just daily just prayer, just whenever accountability wasn't necessarily accessible, or if my day was a couple days before accountability call, I would say, Lord, I need you, I need you. So just my
Mhm.
prayer time was really important. Weekly, I kind of went on a weekly fast. A weekly fast is me just avoiding the um the the food source, the sweets, the processed foods, the junk food, the coffees, just going on an intermittent fast, which I
Mhm.
encourage folks to do. That was every Thursday. Yep. So I think Wednesday would be my dinner time. I would go to sleep and I'd wake up. I wouldn't have breakfast. I wouldn't have lunch. And then right around like the 3 o'clock time frame on Thursday, with just drinking water, I would usually use that time for digging into my Bible and really just talking to God about my situation. And a lot of clarity happened, a lot of clarity and just breakthrough happened during those months of having that one day a week where I chose to fast. I did have a counselor that I chose. So I'm grateful for the times that we had different sessions planned for throughout the month. Book resources are huge. Being able to be proactive, find a book that is ideal for you, that can really hit home on the subject matter that you may be dealing with. And
Uh-huh.
then my favorite, are you ready for my favorite?
I'm ready for your favorite.
Oh, Nancy, my favorite way of processing was through the written word, of being able to just write, 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 write. As a writer, as from my youth, writing was always just a processing way that I would just get get words from my head that would move to my heart, that would somehow just transfer them way through my fingertips. And
Uh-huh.
whether I was actually scribbling and writing with a pen and pad, or I'm just typing, or I'm just texting into my phone, I would use that as a means of therapeutic um, processing. And I tell you what, I was able to write my second volume of poetry during that season. And Life Loving God Poetry Collection Volume 2 is the name of that very book. And I'm grateful for. I wouldn't have imagined that the second round of poetry would have taken a therapeutic spin,
Yeah.
but mental health is such a means of being able to process thoughts. And I encourage anybody who has gone through anything to take a pen or a pencil and a blank sheet of paper and to write and write and write.
During the worst years of my life, I wrote in a journal almost daily. And altogether, I had 12 3-inch binders full of typed pages.
Yes, you know it.
Yes.
You
The,
know it.
and that
Mhm.
combined with a really good counselor got me through those, they were nightmare years.
Nightmare years. Yes, yes. How would you say writing has been a source of therapy for you, a source of therapy for you?
It gave me a safe place to vent my feelings, to express my opinions without being judged for them. If I was mad at someone, I would write all that anger into the journal. You know, it would avoid a real fight when the anger went into the journal instead of toward a person. It
Mhm.
helped me change my belief that before that, somehow I was always at the bottom of my list as far as importance. And by journaling, I gradually accepted that I needed to be more important to myself.
Mhm.
It was very healing.
Wow.
You cited,
Wow. I agree. I agree.
you cited a few verses from Philippians 4 in the Bible that are some of my favorite verses. I've memorized them years ago. Do you know them by memory, or shall I read them? Or
No, yeah, that's the one. That's the one that I consume it often. Yeah, Philippians 4. Oh, wow. It talks about our anxiety. It talks about our anxiety. It
exactly
says, do not be worried about anything.
anything? And I've gone back to
Anything.
God and said, "Did you really mean anything?"
Right. Like, yeah, sometimes we question scriptures and it's like, all right, well, maybe it's the translation of this verse, but anything, Lord, like don't worry about anything. Like that's hard not to do. But I think when we get to a point of living out that verse,
Mhm.
I think it helps us to focus on our relationship with God. And a lot of times we try to not necessarily control, but we definitely care so much about the well-being of others walk with God and how they're doing and their decision making and you're not making this right and you can do better and we're focused so much on others and let me help you and let me serve you and I'm there for you and it's just like yeah I think Philippians 4 is such a personal verse even though we use it for other people not to worry about anything. I think that's like God whispering specifically in our ears for us
I,
to take it to heart.
I call those verses the formula for an anxiety free life. Don't worry
Mm-hmm.
about anything. It's like 6 clear steps. Don't worry about anything. Instead, pray about everything. Tell God your needs and don't forget to thank Him for His answers. If you do this, His peace will guard your heart, your emotions, and your mind, your thoughts with peace. And it is a guaranteed formula for an anxiety free life. I'm not perfect at it, but I memorized those verses many years ago and I still repeat them to myself frequently.
Yep, 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 yep. It's a good verse to write down and to put on a sticky note somewhere so we see it often. Keep it in our car, keep it on our desk at work, keep it on our nightstand. A lot of times in stores, Hobby Lobby, maybe Michael's has different scripture verses where you could buy different plaques. You can buy
Yes.
a lot of different things, artwork even, and you can put it on your wall. It can look very nice, but it's bigger than just a piece of art. It really
Abs-
is a therapeutic verse.
It's a life foundation.
Yeah, yeah, 100%.
You said you like to promote a creative writing course for self-development, and you also wrote that you want to restore one person, one young person at a time back to wholeness through creative writing. Does that mean that you teach them to write creatively, or how do you do that?
Okay. I that is 100% a goal of mine, 1,000% a goal of mine. I'm currently taking an online course to learn how to develop online courses, plural.
Okay.
Okay. So yeah, so that is my goal, and by God's grace, it will happen. It will definitely happen. Um, when it comes to what I've learned in the last 2.5 years, as far as my own personal story goes, with writing being one of the greatest resources that I could have had during the season of my life, I have to share it with others in a way that they are able to process thoughts, um, share, vent, almost throw up onto the
Yes.
pages and
Yes.
not feel bad about it so
Yes.
that they too can get to the end of their self-development slash course and say, you know what? I feel better. I feel like I've grown. I feel like I can overcome just about anything now that I have learned how to deal with this particular trauma that I've had to endure. Now, sometimes their trauma and drama might not be as recent as 2.5 years ago. You know, they might be writing stories from literally whenever they were in elementary school, and now they're able to write it out in a form. But my goal is one young person at a time. And whenever I say a young person, it can start as early as maybe 15 to 18. Um, or even 13. I'll see. I'll see how young I really want to offer the course. But it definitely will go all through adulthood because, as you know,
Yes.
even those that are of age still haven't fully dealt with what they've incurred. And a writing course, the way that I want to structure it, will be 100% beneficial for them to have a beginning, a middle, and an end, and for them to feel liberated in a source or a sense of freedom. A sense
Yes.
of freedom. Hmm.
I think in writing in the way that you describe, it leaves those burdens on the page, doesn't it?
Oh, it has to. It has to go somewhere. It can't
Yeah.
stay within us. It can't
Yeah.
stay within us. If it stays within us, Nancy, um, let's just use anxiety for example. Going back to the example that we gave in the Inside Out Disney movie.
Yes.
If it stays within us, anxiety will continue to have its grip month after month, year after year, and you will find yourself not just in a season of life having to deal with it. I've had to deal with it for a season. There are some people that have had to deal with it for a life.
Yes.
And my goal is for any mental health condition to never become a lifetime of an impact on anyone's life. There's a way to let it go and
Yes.
to tell it, to literally tell it, let go of me.
Yes.
Hmm.
I agree. And when it stays trapped in our bodies like that, it often creates illness, physical illness,
Oh, yeah.
because, our minds, our emotions, our bodies are all connected and all affected. Thank you so much for joining me here today. It's been a pleasure to meet you and talk with you. I love the work that you are doing, and I'm asking God to bless you, bless your home, and bless your heart. Thank you, Justin.
It means so much, Nancy. God bless you too. It's been a pleasure to speak with you and to meet with you. Thank you for all that you do behind the scenes because you do a lot. You do a lot. And I just want to appreciate you from the bottom of my heart that you do a great job.
Thank you. I received that. That's really sweet of you to say. Bye
My
bye.
pleasure. My pleasure. Take care.